Greetings, my friends. Hello, hello. And welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast, which I hope by now is your absolute favorite podcast. And my cat will meow grumpily at you if it is not. So on this podcast, what is up? My name is Sabrina Scott, and I talk all about life, love, healing, magic, witchcraft, tarot, spirituality, mediumship, and everything in between, as one does. And first of all, thank you so much for listening. If you've not yet rated this podcast 5 amazing stars and left a happy review and shared it with a friend, please do so. It honestly really, really helps. And I do this for free. If you are getting value out of what I'm saying, whether or not you agree, even if it just helps you expand your mind a little bit, get a little bit more deeper in thought, please do share with a friend. I just really, really appreciate it. So, okay, friends, this podcast episode's topic is about being straight up and believing people when they say things. Mean what you say what you mean. Mean what you say what you mean. This is really, really important. I had an experience recently that I found honestly very shocking in regards to someone totally misinterpreting me when I was being completely straightforward and like very literal. So let me just break this down, and it doesn't really matter like who this happened with or what the activity was, but just to use it as an example of something that I think happens a lot more often than we tend to think. And this like shocked me, to be honest with you. Like I'm still somewhat in shock about this interaction. Like I'm glad that me and this person talked about it because otherwise I would have been so confused. Okay, here's the situation. So I was out doing a new activity. Someone invited me to go do something I had never done before. And if you viewed my Instagram stories from a few days ago, you'll probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, it was like an activity that was very off-brand for me. It's like something that I've always kind of known about, but honestly always thought was like maybe not going to be that fun, or like it would be kind of intimidating. And it's kind of like a masculine activity. And I just thought there'd be like a bunch of dudes who are like, why is this girl here doing this? Like I just thought it would be very unapproachable. And like, I honestly didn't think I'd have any fun. Like I'm not really an activities person, and I'm not really a physical activities person. I'm much more of a like leisurely sit down, lean back and enjoy a nice meal type of person. So anyway, I decided to be adventurous. I was like, you know what? Like YOLO, fuck it. Like, why not? I'll do this activity with you. Like, whatever. Why not? Let's just see how it goes. And I wasn't really expecting much out of it, but I honestly had such a good time, and the activity was so fun, and all of the super like masculine dudes like running the activity were so friendly and just so like welcoming and just kind, and I didn't feel intimidated. I actually felt like more comfortable and at ease than I thought I would, and I had way more fun doing the activity than I thought I would. And so I kept saying like, wow, this is so fun. I'm having such a good time. Like, and I was taking photos of the activity. Like I was taking selfies. Like I was like doing all this stuff. And honestly, like I genuinely had an awesome time. Like it was so fun. Like I would love to go back. Like I want to bring people who've never been and just like introduce it to them. Like it was just so fun. And what was so interesting is like on the drive back, this person was like, oh, like, you know, I'm just feeling concerned. And I was like, why? And they were like, I didn't think you had a good time today. Like you just seemed like you weren't having a good time. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I literally said, I'm having so much fun. Like literally how more literal could I have been? Like I'm confused right now. Like I had a great time. And I told you that like 10 times. And so then this person was like, oh, well, people usually say I'm having a great time when they're not having a great time. Like usually when someone says I'm having a great time, it's to cover up how bad of a time they're having. And I was just like, literally, what? Like, I'm so confused. And so I was like, no, like, what the fuck? And so, like, we talked about it and it was fine. Like, but the fact that this miscommunication even happened, I found like deeply shocking and like slightly disturbing. And so let me explain why. So my communication, and this could be because I was raised in the States. So those of y'all who know me, like you'll know I was born in Canada, but I do consider myself American because I spent like half my life there. I spent my formative years in the States. And so I'm used to American culture. And so it's a little bit different than Canadian culture. Like I feel like Canadians tend to be a little bit passive aggressive, maybe not as direct. Whereas in the States, like at least where I grew up, like culture of all the people I know in the States, like everyone is pretty fucking straightforward. Like if someone doesn't like it, they'll tell you to your face and it's not a big deal and no one has to take it personally. It's just like whatever. And so I was just being myself, right? Just like literally expressing that I'm having a great time and just being very genuine, being very authentic, being very honest and very literal. Like, yeah, I'm having so much fun. This is awesome. And I was being so vocal because for me it was so unexpected. Like this very masculine activity that I thought I was going to really hate. I actually really loved it. And it's so fascinating to me that this person was like, "Oh, you said you were having a good time, so I interpreted that to mean the opposite thing." And so it got me thinking, right? I'm like, how often does this happen? Like, I'm sure it actually probably happens a lot. And wherever in the world you're listening from, I'm actually really curious. I'd love to hear from you. Like, how does this work where you live? Like with the culture, the social culture where you live. And how would you interpret that? And so I'm not going to say anyone's culture is like right or wrong, though I kind of am. But I think the world is a better place when we can all just take each other at our word, right? And I'm so glad that this person said something because otherwise, like, they would have thought that I had a terrible time and I would have been confused about, like, you know, whatever, like if there's drama or like weirdness. And so, like, why don't we all just like trust each other to be honest about our feelings, right? What this person was kind of doing, which I see happen a lot, was like interpreting, like making meaning about something that was just like completely opposite. Like it was an unnecessary reach, I thought. But I'm sure this happens a lot, right? And I think there's this fear that, I don't know, like there's a fear of taking people at their word. And I think sometimes that can come from insecurity, or it can come from a lack of self-worth. It can come from, like insecurity. I guess I just said that, but a lack of self-esteem, I think too. I think that's related, where sometimes people will be like, you know, this person couldn't have fun with me, or like, why does this person like me? Or I'm unworthy of this person, or like whatever. Like, I think some people have an inferiority complex and don't want to believe reality. Like, hey, someone's actually having fun with you. Like, relax. You know what I mean? And so it really kind of showed me, and I'm not going to psychoanalyze this person. It's like totally, you know, whatever. But just to use this as an example, because I think there is a chance that this human like might have been feeling like, you know, some of those like insecurities or like self-doubt, or what I would frame as limiting beliefs, like beliefs that are, you know, false, but limit our experience of reality, you know? Like, examples of limiting beliefs could be, I'll never find love, there's no good guys out there, everyone who I like doesn't like me, it'll never work out for me, like anyone who likes me is just pretending. Like, those are examples of limiting beliefs. And so when we see the world through that lens, we actually don't tend to see the world as it actually is, right? And so with that example that I just gave, like, I have no idea what this person's limiting beliefs might be. Like, we all kind of have them. I'm sure I still have some that I'm still working through, and we all do, right? And so part of this work, in my opinion, is to like try to excavate those, find out what they are, because they can be kind of challenging to uncover at times. They're so embedded in how we live and how we think. But I think part of this work is to excavate it, to like uncover it, brush it off, and then to heal it, right? To challenge that limiting belief. And so, you know, one of this person's limiting beliefs, like, who knows? But like a possible one could be, my cat chiming in, could be anyone that I like and anyone I have fun with, if they're having fun with me too, then they're lying, you know? And I'm sure there could be potential like past experiences that might lead someone to believe that, but it's super interesting. And what's interesting to me as well is like that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like I was joyful, I was smiling the whole time, like, and it's so interesting that like this other person is like bringing all of their past baggage, all of their limiting beliefs, all of their assumptions, all of their ways of interpreting, which comes from a particular, like we could say, negative lens into that interaction and coloring it negatively, right? Which is so interesting. And I think this happens a lot in like dating and sometimes in friendship or in the workplace, but I find it particularly interesting in dating. And I've seen it happen so many times. Like it's fascinating. And I think this is just one example of a type of thing that like could happen in so many dating situations, right? I remember this was like, oh my God, a year ago now. Once I went on this date with someone, it was honestly like an awesome first date. Like no bad vibes. It was easy. It was fun. Like totally great time. And I remember I actually didn't hear back from the person for a second date. Eventually, we actually did go out a few more times, but there was like a month gap, and the person actually reached out to me when they heard that my stepbrother passed last summer, and so this person was like so supportive and amazing through that, which was really cool. So we kind of reconnected, but in that reconnection, I asked like, we had such a great day, like what happened? And what was so interesting is he was like, you know what, like you were so cool and so like awesome that I felt like you must have been lying about something, or something about you, like there must be a catch somewhere, right? Like, and so because he thought that I was too good to be true, he didn't ask me out again until my stepbrother passed, because he was like still creeping my Instagram or whatever. And I just found that fascinating in this same exact way that I find it fascinating in this interaction I recently had. Right. And so there was nothing that I did wrong on that first date with this person in this like year ago example. Like I was just being myself, doing my thing, like whatever. And so this person's limiting belief of like no one can be that cool actually held him back. And so that had nothing to do with me. Right. Whereas I think a lot of women would be confused and like upset and, you know, whatever, like analyzing it or being confused or like, oh my God, this guy sucks, or he's so whatever. And like, I don't think this guy sucks at all. It was just like, he just had a limiting belief that, you know, because he was operating in this box of the limiting belief, like he just chose to, you know, do that. And that's fine. It didn't work out for other reasons, and that's totally cool. No bad blood at all. But I just find that so interesting, right? Like these interpretations that are based on that person's like past baggage rather than what is actually in front of them, right? Which is so interesting. I guess it's kind of another topic slightly than mean what you say what you mean. But I do think these limiting beliefs, it is something that does make its way into how we date, how we live, how we work, all these things. So I find it just so fascinating. And I just want to talk about that a little bit and just name it, because I think it is something that a lot of us go through, right? And so if we can like, I don't know, see this as something to think about in our own lives, if anyone's listening to this, you're like, I don't know. How about, you know, if someone says something to you and it's like more positive than you think it should be, like, why not just believe them? Why not just take people at their word? Because if we are doing all of these mental gymnastics, we are ultimately wasting our fucking time. So like this person doing all these mental gymnastics to explain to themselves, oh my God, she's not having a good time. Oh my God, she hates this. Oh my God, like she doesn't like me, blah, blah, blah. Like, or whatever those thoughts might have been. Like that was totally unnecessary because it wasn't true. It was just all total bullshit. And like we talked about it and I was able to tell this person that was bullshit. But, you know, imagine that it wasn't named and then we all just like parted ways and that was it, right? And so it's fascinating, right? So trust people to communicate with you effectively. Do not like fill in the blanks because chances are you're probably going to be wrong and you're probably responding to something that wasn't real. And if you live in a culture that is really passive aggressive or petty or just not direct, like maybe you don't want to live this way, like whatever, you do you, like it's your life, I don't really care. But for myself, like I just choose to take everyone at their word, and that's that. I'm just like not gonna worry about it. Like I just trust that if someone has a problem with me, they're gonna let me know, and if they don't, then like that's on them. Like I'm not gonna be wasting my time reading people's minds, and I'm just gonna kind of take everyone at face value, and that's type of relationships that I value having. And I don't know, that's just how I think that is a good way to be. And it can be a little bit harder to be direct, you know, but I think that that is okay. I think it's important to challenge ourselves, right? It's like, if you aren't having a good time, why not just say that? Why not just say that? Right? Because I think especially a lot of women are so used to people pleasing, and just like when they're not having a good time, like maybe they're gonna like pretend that they're having a good time to avoid not like hurting someone's feelings. But like, you know, if you don't like the song that's playing, or if you don't like the food, or you don't like the whatever, like why not just say so? Right? Like I remember someone took me to this bar once after we were doing another activity, and like we literally spent like 30 seconds inside the bar, and I was like, this is too loud, like I don't like it here, can we go somewhere else? And like the person like really wanted to show me this bar and like blah blah blah, and like I could have just like been a nice girl and like smiled and be like, yeah, this is great, and screamed at the person because it was so fucking loud. We would not have been able to have a conversation. But no, I was like, you know what, this is really too loud, this is hectic, this is stressing me out, can we go somewhere else? And the person was like, yep, no problem, done. Right? And so I think it's so important to, especially as women, stand up for our needs, stand up for our desires, express it when we don't like something, express it when something is not the vibe, and like be kind about it. You don't have to be a dick when you're expressing that, like obviously, but I think it's really important to learn how to use our voices and express ourselves. And I think when we do that, when we use our voices to express ourselves, it's easier to trust that other people are doing the same. And it's easier to build relationships, whether that's friendships, work connections, love relationships, when other people are also in touch with communicating their own truth, right? It's really important. Anyway, that's the episode, my friends, for today. And what else? So I'm relaunching my feminine energy course. I guess I never really fully launched it, so I'm properly launching. I did a little mini pre-launch. So it's going to be called Goddess Rising. It was going to be called Feminine Energy Without Bullshit, but I actually feel like it's a bit too masculine of a title. So it's going to be called Goddess Rising. Goddess Rising. Even if you don't care about goddesses, I think it is important just to like think about feminine energy stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. Send me a DM or a email if you're curious about this. I am so fucking excited to begin teaching this material. Like I think it is really life-changing. And if those of y'all who've been following my story over the past few years, you will know it has been transformative for me in a really big way. So keep your eyes and ears peeled, my friends. Okay, that's the episode. If you love this episode, please share it with a friend. Please leave a 5-star review. Spread the word. That would be really great. And of course, my friends, there is a new YouTube video for the tarot cards for this week. And so I really do recommend you just go give that a watch. And if you enjoy it, please share it with a friend. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe. So my YouTube is youtube.com/Sabrina Scott. You can find me on Instagram at Sabrina M. Scott. You can send me an email at ceo@sabrinamscott.com. I think that's it. That's the only relevant places that I am. So again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support of this podcast. And also, we are at 16,000 downloads. So thank you so much, each and every one of you. This podcast has only been happening for 4 months. So that is huge, huge, huge. I really appreciate your attention, your good vibes, and your ears. Thank you so much. Chat with you guys soon. Bye.